Good evening, Whisky Club members. It's Craig here, your head of whisky creation in my little basement in Glasgow, and we have a treat for you this evening. We are joined today with Alex Thomas, the master blender. I don't know what the best way to describe your role is, Alex Thomas. All encompassing genius at Bushmills Distillery. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, Craig. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Now, you're a bit of a veteran in these with the club. I know there's lots of members tuned in. They've got their bottles of Bushmills primed and ready. I don't know how many of them have been able to keep that bottle corked since Christmas. I expect a few have been opened already, particularly with St. Patrick's Day the other day. But we're delighted to have you on to talk us through the Christmas Causeway this evening.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and what an amazing whisky everybody talked about, and a great one exactly for St. Patrick's Day to crack open if you hadn't already. But yeah, if you've managed to keep it from Christmas without trying it, you're better than I am.
Fantastic. So this evening, we've got people tuned in Australia, people tuned in New Zealand. They're on all the different channels. There's going to be questions coming up from them. So guys, if you're watching and you have any questions for Alex, fire them into the comments and we'll make sure that the questions get through. Peter's saying he's just about out of his bottles already. That's what we like to hear. Anthony saved some, but his bottle's almost gone. It's exactly as we expected. To start, I think, though, there will be some people where this was their first ever bottle of whiskey from Bushmills. So, yeah, can you give us just a wee bit of a background of the distillery and the brand and the history?
So Bushmills is the oldest licensed distillery in the world. We were granted our license way back on the 20th of April, 1608 by King James I. But it wasn't because it's our first time making whiskey. It was in recognition of the quality of the wonderful whiskey we've been making here at Bushmills for all of those years. We have always been staying true to our single malt. We believe that that's the best way to make whiskey. So even when the malt taxes came in 1850 and made it very expensive to do what we do, we stayed true to the grain because we believe it makes the best whiskey. It's really delicate, really fruity, and it just really works for us at Bushmills. And it's the reason we believe we're still here 400 years later. We have stood many, many challenges over the year, whether it's world wars, prohibitions, fires here on site, but we've always recovered. We've always came back because we continued to stay true to what we believe in, create wonderful whiskies. We've had owners that believed in us, people that work here deliver every single day because they love what they produce. They love it to drink themselves, and they want to really honor the past and have a real longevity of this wonderful product. We distill here and we are a grain to glass distillery in that we have total control of everything here. So we can ensure that our barley is the best possible quality. The water source that we have here in St. Colum's Rill that has been from the generations of the producing in this area, blessed many, many years ago by St. Columba as one of the best quality waters in this area and was used for medicinal purposes. So we've been continuing to use that wonderful water source that actually flows under the distillery and its way back out to sea to ensure the quality of our spirit is there. We only use that 100% malted barley so that we get that wonderful, real beautiful flavors coming through. So we don't bring any of that unmalted barley into it. Our process, as I say, is all on this one site. So we have that process that has been passed down from generations to generations. So our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers have all been making it, and it's that secret that has been passed on. So as much as we've technology now there that helps the process, it's very much more about the people and the process. So they can go into the distillery and you could be standing in the still house and talking to the distiller, and all of a sudden they'll go, hold on a wee moment. They've heard a noise of their still and they know whether they have to add steam, reduce steam. So having that ability to be able to be in depth into every part of the process here, whether it's in the distillery or right through to the packaging side, it gives Bushmills a really unique focus. Our process has been unchanged all of those years. So our 10 tonne of malted barley, 48,000 litres of water is the very starting process. Through to fermentation, distillation, and our triple distillation and our copper pot stills gives us a really unique heart in our spirit that really does bode well for the maturation process. All of our warehouses are here on site, and we've over 500,000 barrels in our warehouses at the moment maturing, which is no mean feat for a master blender. but an absolute joy and a privilege to be able to say that I'm laying down spirit for now, for the future, for many, many years to come, that people will get to enjoy, as well as releasing whiskies that have been laid down for many generations before me, even coming on site. So it's a wonderful place. If you've never been, you have to come and visit. It's the most beautiful sight you'll ever see. From the moment you walk in those big black gates, to the white buildings that surround you, to the smells, to the aromas, to the clink of the bottles as they go through. It truly is a magical place.
Sounds incredible. I mean, 500,000 barrels. I think that the club can help put a wee dent in there. I just, I just want to pick up on something you mentioned there, because it's not something that we necessarily think about as whiskey drinkers. But you mentioned there that, you know, essentially you're getting to work with what the people before you put down, and you're getting to lay whiskey down for the future, and that kind of concept of time as a master blender is not something that we necessarily focus on. So, you know, how much of a privilege is that? And are there any times where you're in the lab having a look at stuff and thinking, man, I wonder what they did back then, because this one's a wee bit unusual?
Yeah, like I'm a custodian in a 400-year history. I'm a drop in the ocean, you could say, but I get to care for whiskies that people I started working here with. So when I joined the distillery, there was people here that had been 40 years, maybe 50 years in already here. So they had produced spirit that they had been laying down the way their grandfathers and those people that had taught them. So it was spirit then. I get to see that turn into whiskey. I get to lay down new spirit over the last 20 years that I've been here, and see it transform over that. Some will be released in the time that I'm here, and others will be laid down for the next master blender. So it really is an honor and a privilege to say that you have such a key part in the industry for that time that you're here, whether it is releasing those whiskies of those that were laid down before, the ones that have been here the full lifetime that I've been here, and those that will be there for the future. So you always want to taste them all. And it's sad in a way that some will be laid down now that I won't get to taste. But at the same time, it's really nice to know that I can leave the industry in a real great quality way, that I was handed it as a master blender. So the next generation and the one after that and the one after that will still carry on the Bushmills legacy, and they will be here for many, many generations to come.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, you mentioned 20 years. What were the 20 years? Well, first of all, what was your path into the world of whiskey and Bushmills? I know there's been loads of people listening across in Australia, New Zealand, who would love to find out how to get a job like yours. But then, yeah, give us a wee bit of a journey of the last 20 years as well, and how you got to making Causeway whiskies for the Whisky Club.
So my journey into whiskey started many, many years ago. Growing up on the North Coast, everybody knows about the distillery. We're sitting up there making wonderful whiskies, and my grandfather, father, uncles all drank Bushmills. So from a very young age, my grandfather used to tell me about this magical liquid that cured all ails. If you had a hot Bushmills, it didn't matter what was wrong with you, you would be cured of it. So I always had this mythical idea of this wonderful place that was sitting there making this magic liquid, and I just dreamt of one day working there. But I actually started my career in the wood industry in a local timber merchant. So I actually started my training long before I realized I was going to make it into the whiskey industry. But wood is a key part of the maturation process. So all of those years spent there actually helped me on my journey into whiskey. I was very, very fortunate back in 2004, where a lady at the distillery decided she wanted to travel the world. And the distillery couldn't keep her position open, obviously, for she wanted to go between 2 to 3 years away. So I applied for the job, didn't know whether I would get it or not. There's so many people in for it, but I was really lucky that I was the one they chose to be able to come in to work at the distillery. It was an office job. It was working alongside the master blender, labeling up samples and just doing general tasks that were needed for the HMRC, whatever happened to happen. But the wonderful thing about Bushmills is if you want to learn about the industry, they absolutely want to tell you. So as I say, people 30, 40 years, and they took me on like their daughter or someone that they saw something in that they just wanted to pass all of that knowledge on to. and I lapped it up. I absolutely loved it. All of the stories about the past and how things were, whether they were using pulley chains to put the barrels up into position, to the moving on to fork trucks, all of those different things. But the fact that the process in making the whiskey stayed exactly the same really, really excited me. I was given the opportunity then to go on and learn more about it from the qualification side of things. And on Independence Day 2012, received my diploma in distilling, which gave me the opportunity then to hope and dream for the future of what I could be in this industry. I was given the freedom at Bushmills to experiment and to see what I thought the Irish category was capable of, and through that created the Sexton Irish Single Malt, which was launched in 2017. On the back of how well that was received and the quality of the liquid that I had produced, Bushmills deemed me worthy in November 2021 to take on the wonderful mantle of Master Blender, and my dreams have all came true. I now get to create whiskies for the most amazing brand in the whole world, and to create something like the Causeway Collection is a dream come true. It's all about giving back to our consumers, those people that believe in our wonderful brand. I love traveling around and seeing all the different flavors and the different things people enjoy in each of the countries. So to bring a little piece of that back to Ireland and put our whiskey into that, or our spirit in there, and turn it into a whiskey that they can then travel home with, is just a real privilege and an honor. And something like the Christmas collection that we have here is just even more special. What a wonderful time of year to celebrate. We all get our families together, and whiskey's like a family. So whether it is in a sherry cask, a bourbon cask, a Madeira cask, it's got the DNA of your parents. So just like daughters, I'm one of 5, we all have our characteristics or DNA of our parents, but we all have something unique and different in us. And that's just like whiskey. It gives you something different, whether you're a beginner into whiskey, whether you've been drinking it for years, or you want to experience something just a little bit different. That wonderful wood, that seasoning process just opens itself up to elevate the Bushmills character, to complement it really well and give you something truly unique to taste. And to be part of that on someone's whiskey journey in any format is just an absolute honor for a master blender, and especially one for Bushmills, who has been here for all of these years.
So, there's so much to cover there. But I've seen there's a couple of questions coming up that link back to some of the stuff you've just said. But it sounds like an incredible couple of decades, and what a journey so far. The questions that came up, one was around distillery character and triple distillation. Now, the thing I love about the Causeway Collection, and this one in particular, is you always manage to capture that lovely kind of bright fruitiness of Bushmills, even if the casks are big and rich. And there was a question in there as well about triple distillation, and essentially, are you losing anything from a third distillation, or is it enhancing anything, I suppose, is the best way to ask that question. It's Tom's asking there about giving less flavors. I'm not sure even as a Scotsman, I'm not sure I'd frame it like that. But can you give us a wee bit of an idea of the beauty and reason for triple distillation, and then how you manage to capture that Bushmills character even when using some of the big fortified casks that we have in the Causeway Collection?
So for us, the importance of the triple distillation is purity. So having that purity of heart right there in our distillate. So we want that delicate, fruity, forward flavors that we have. So we want to get rid of all of those heavier, so whether it's the fusel oils, the more solventy flavors that you would be getting in your heads. We want to ensure that heart is as pure as we can possibly make it. And being able to do that triple distillation takes you right up to strengths of like 83%. Whereas if you're stopping at your second distillation, you're in and around the 70. So having that higher ABV, that more delicate fruity flavors, opens our Bushmills character up to be able to hold its own in all of those bold casks. So at the heart of everything we do in our maturation process, you must retain what you have in your distillate. We have done such a great job for 400 years using that malted barley, having the heart of our distillate through the triple distillation and the use of copper, the best it possibly can be. So you don't want to lose that. So having that ability to know the types of wines or bourbons or whatever seasoning is in there that will complement rather than overpower, the time it's giving in there, the strength that you put into the cask, where we leave it in the warehouse, all of those things come into play. And having that knowledge of being able to pass that knowledge down for over 400 years is key for us. We're not starting out. It's not something new to us. So we know what works for Bushmills, and we know what is potentially something new that we're going to experiment with. But that's the fun of it. You never know where your journey is going to take you, but we know, because of the process that we use through that triple distillation, removing all of those heavier fuels and things that we don't want, and retaining that character that the triple distillation allows, just gives us that ability to create something new while retaining that flavour. So that peachy, apricot-y, fruity flavour is at the heart of everything you do, and you'll get it even in something as bold as the Oloroso sherry casks, which are very prevalent and given the flavours over, but that's what we want. We want to complement, but not overpower.
Yeah, it's such a fine balance, and as I said, in this particular whiskey, it is perfectly it's just perfectly there. It's just sitting in the background as it is with all incredible Bushmills. Now, a couple of nice little curveball questions. One was, is there any project or product that you think has tested your skills to the extreme in the last 20 years, and how much of it is the Whisky Club's fault is probably a wee addendum I'll put in there.
Always, and I love to push the boundaries. I think that's the fun bit. So you always want to pay homage to what came before and what has already created, and continuing to ensure that flavour profile is there. But I want to put a little bit of my own stamp on it. I want to show that Bushmills has got even more. So I have to say, one of the most challenging casks I've had over the last 20 years would be the Amburana. So the Brazilian wood is very, very powerful and can very quickly overtake your spirit. But the wonderful thing about whiskey is you never lose it. So even by pushing the boundaries when you're doing your testing on 1 or 2 casks, and you find that moment where almost the cask is taken over and you're starting to lose your DNA, you haven't lost the spirit overall, because you can marry it back in and bring in more flavor profiles again and create something completely new by the mix of 3 or 4 or 5 different casks. So pushing the boundaries is a good thing. It's not always what you'll end up with that you started out thinking you wanted, but where would we be? Life would be dull if we didn't get that opportunity to see. And as I say, Bushmills has been around for 400 years because we haven't been scared to push the boundaries. We are never settled. We are never standing still. We're looking to see what's next. Times have changed. We have all changed in ourselves. We all want different things. Our flavor profiles have changed from what, if you think back to what your grandfather or your grandmother drank to what you drink today or eat today, it's all very, very different. So we don't stand still. We want to see what else. And here in Ireland, we're not restricted to just using oak, which means it's even more fun for us here that we get to experiment and sometimes a little bit more challenging, but it's worth that challenge.
So let's bring everyone's attention to the Christmas Causeway, because I know that many people have already mentioned. I think there was someone's on their 3rd bottle, which is a fantastic feat.
Amazing.
And I know that many people have already opened this, but there might also be some people that are waiting for us to chat about it. I saw a question quite early on in our session here where someone was asking about having a Christmas whiskey as a project. First of all, did you approach it any differently? And second of all, were there any aromas or flavors or notes that you particularly wanted to capture when putting a whiskey, Whisky Club Christmas whiskey together?
Well, for me, Christmas is all about, as I say, family. And there's nothing more that represents family for me than Christmas. And for us, it's about my grandmother and my mother making Christmas cake. So those flavor profiles for me, the lovely marzipan, that delicious fruitiness, that sweetness that's coming in, just really shouts and screams Christmas to me. But when you're creating something and you want it to be Christmas, you never know what's going to be ready. And that's the thing about Bushmills. We don't rush anything. So as much as you have a dream and an inspiration of what you want to create, you want it to be truly special. And that's exactly what this release is. It's something truly special, because it's every now and then you find this special selection of casks that have got potential to be more than what they set out to be. And that's exactly what has been created here. They never were set out back when they were laid down in 2012 to be the release for a Christmas special. We didn't know what their journey was going to be, but the time that they needed was given. And that was why we ended up with this amazing release to be able to be here for the Whisky Club. So being able to locate this really small grove of trees that we were able to work with the cooperage to build the casks. So because we have that relationships with the cooperage and the forestry, that we can actually bespoke and build our own casks, we can season to our own specification, we can lay down here at the distillery for as long as we feel it needs. This Oloroso sherry just started to really impart unique, beautiful flavors that were coming out a little bit slower at the start than what we would have been expecting for something potentially you would be using in, for example, our Blackbush. But by giving it the time it needed to take on those wonderful Oloroso, that wonderful French oak, but still keep the DNA of Bushmills, really embodies everything that we have here. So those wonderful dark fruits, those wonderful apricot flavors, whether it's that beautiful mix of dates and apricots, that juicy raisin that's coming in, it just really does come alive in every single sip. The nose is absolutely phenomenal. It just really excites me when I think about that wonderful Christmas cake growing up and that wonderful flavor and every bite you got. This takes me back all of those years. It takes me on that journey right back to when I was a child and sitting around the table with my sisters, my family, all enjoying everything that is about Christmas. And if you get to enjoy a little bit of that in every sip that you have, it's my dream. That's exactly what I wanted to create for something as special as the Whisky Club's Christmas special.
Fantastic. Klaus is just asking, when you're nosing a cask, what are the first indicators that tell you it's so special? He said this 2012 is such a peach and it's his favourite so far in his little collection. So yeah, what particularly stood out, I suppose, when you stuck your nose in these samples?
For me, it was really the approachability of this. The aromas are so complex. So every time you breathe in, out, you'll get something else. So none of them are overpowering in any of the flavor profiles. So they are very unique in their own ability. So as you experience this whiskey and continue to taste through, you'll get more of the bold at the start, but the other ones all start to come. So none of them are overpowering. You get that beautiful DNA of Bushmills, that wonderful apricot flavors are straight away there. And all of a sudden then that wonderful French oak gets its time to shine as well. So for me, it's that perfect union of distillate, the maturation process of the Oloroso sherry that has been in their seasoning, and that wonderful French oak has really been given the time to make a marriage made in heaven, so that they really do empower everything that I believe is about making great whiskey. It's the woods, it's the seasoning, and it's the distillate. So when that union is right, you get an absolutely amazing whiskey. And for me, the 2012 does that really perfectly. You get to taste Bushmills at its heart. You get that wonderful Oloroso sherry that has spent all of that time deepening into that French oak. And then you always get that French oak influence there as well. So those trees have spent such a long time growing so that we could get that wonderful wooden cask to lay the liquid down in. They are a living, breathing thing, that oxidization process that's taking place in what a wonderful setting here in the North Coast. It's not too warm, it's not too cold. So as the cask breathes in and out, we patiently wait for that flavor profile to tell us when it's ready. And this told me it's ready just in time for Christmas and just in time for the Whisky Club.
Fantastic. Now, I think there's definitely a few people that I've spoken to, members of the club, who have had every one of the Causeway collections that we've done together. What was the inspiration for that collection? Because I know that the club and Bushmills have worked very, very closely on bringing that to life. And did you have a favourite that you put together for us so far, apart from obviously this one?
How do you pick a favourite child? That just doesn't happen.
My mum would disagree, and she'd
or would you disagree to tell your mum that you're the favourite? Look, each whiskey has its own time to shine, and I think that's a wonderful thing. They are there for every occasion, whether it was the double muscatel, the Burgundy, or our wonderful Oloroso sherry. They are all there for their own moment in time, and they are all truly special. It showcases for me exactly what the club members, what we here at the distillery we embody great whiskies, and we enjoy great whiskies. And for us here at Bushmills to be able to share them with the Whisky Club is really important for me. I think what you do there and what the people do as a community there are absolutely amazing. They continue to inspire me to create something new, something more for them. I think they keep this industry alive. The Irish category has grown phenomenally over the last 21 years I've been here. It was almost wiped out all of those years ago, but people like the members of the club keep it alive. And for us here at the distillery, we're forever grateful, because if people didn't drink our whiskies, we wouldn't be getting to do what we absolutely love. So to be able to create something truly unique and special in each of the releases, especially for the club, is exactly what I dream of doing. And I won't stop. If you keep drinking, I will keep making new and special ones for you.
I think from our side, or even for me personally, you know, I've been in the industry quite a while, but Irish whiskey wasn't necessarily on my radar as much as it is now as a member of the club, and it is incredible how we get to work with the best in Northern Ireland and Ireland to showcase some of these incredible whiskies that probably don't get shouted about enough here in Scotland, that's for sure. But the club is definitely flying the flag for you down in Australia and New Zealand, and we're so happy to do that. Now, Klaus has had a couple of cracking questions, but he's asking about the balance and consistency with the urge to experiment, and also putting your own subtle mark on a whiskey is another comment that I can see there. I suppose from our perspective at the club, we want to see more experimentation. We want to help you push those boundaries. But you know, what's the how does the balance work, and what's the most exciting thing you're working on just now?
I suppose if you think of our stock levels, you're talking probably in and around 75 to 80% of what I have would be for existing brands and continuing the legacy that we have been there, or anything that I have created and put into the core range. But that 20% that you get to play with is so exciting. So I want to continue that. I want to ensure that that's there for the next master blender. And you always want to lay something down for the future that you just don't know. If we hadn't done that, we wouldn't have released a 46-year-old last year. Like, phenomenal to think that we were able to have a 46-year-old coming out at 46% was truly an inspiration. So to be able to continue that experimentation and what if and what's possible for the future is always something you want to do. Absolutely has to be a balancing in there. What I'm working on now is a top secret, and I wish I could tell you, because it's some of the most amazing things. I always say that of everything new, but there is some really wonderful casks maturing up there that I can't wait to see how they will go. I hope that they come in my lifetime, but you just never know, because that's one thing I will never do. I won't release it just because I need to. It's because it's ready. People deserve to taste it in the best format it can be. So we all get to shine in our own time, and these casks will, and you will hopefully get to taste them one day. But they are very unique and special casks all the time for me that I want to work with, whether it's the likes of the 2012 Oloroso Sherry or whatever's in the mix still laying down there. But you always want to be able to say that you have pushed the boundaries while you're here. Like, this is a wonderful company to work for. It's a wonderful brand. And all I want to do is my best. I want to give back for those people that believed in me, that invested all of their time in me over my early years and continue to do, to ensure that I can be the best version of me. I want to be able to give that back to the consumers, to the ones that love the brand, and to the team here at Bushmills, so that the next generation will all have a wonderful brand to come and work at. It's the best place in the world to work. It's the best place to come every day and open a warehouse and taste a cask that hasn't been touched in years, or one that you have been monitoring over the last number of months and years, and see it's ready today. You get to release it and taste it with more than just yourself. It's there to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I see that our guys in the backstage have asked what people want to see, so I'll let them populate the comments with that. But let's just round off and finish up with we'll come back to the base of Bushmills as a place, because we have lots of members that come on pilgrimages across the across or up to the Northern Hemisphere to come and see some of the incredible brands that we work with. So what can they expect when they get across to see you in Northern Ireland?
For a start, Northern Ireland is one of the most beautiful places to come and visit. We have so many historical places to be, green fields, beautiful beaches, and a wonderful distillery sitting right up there on the north coast. And as I say, it's the most picturesque distillery you'll ever come and see. Grain to glass, those wonderful white walls, the people that you'll meet here. No matter who you talk to when you come to the distillery, they will tell you that they have got the best part of the making whiskey process, whether that's the distilling, whether it's the maturation, filling casks, filling the whiskey into bottles, putting the labels on, whatever it is, they believe that they have the best part of this role. But together we make the best whiskey. And when you come here to visit, you will get to experience that in a different way. You will feel the passion that we do. You will leave here with an absolute different opinion of our whiskey. If you loved it already, it will go beyond anything you have ever dreamt. It's such a magical place. You will see the water, you will see the barley, you'll see the casks being filled. The warehouses are all here for us to look after. And it does rain in Northern Ireland quite a bit, and we need the water for whiskey, but it does sunshine as well. Today is a perfect example of that. So come and visit us. You will never regret it.
Yeah, it's on my list, as I said earlier. I'm a bit embarrassed I haven't been over because it's not that far from Glasgow. So if anyone's making a Scotch pilgrimage, you can get the ferry across, and or even take a very short flight across to Belfast and tour around. And embarrassingly, I haven't done that myself yet. So
we'll have to correct that soon.
Yes, it's definitely on my list. I'm seeing loads of people here saying that they're already on the way to the airport. They've packed their bags. You might get a wee influx.
Wonderful
to come and
just
see.
ask for me.
I'd be wary about saying that, but yeah, sure, why not? There'll be a queue next week. Alex, it's been absolutely fantastic to finally to meet you in person over this link. I can't wait to see what we come up with next. I can't wait to catch up with you again, and I know that our members absolutely love it when you're on talking us through the magic of Bushmills. So if you keep getting us incredible whiskey, we'll keep getting out to the members. And there's a Bushmills flag in the Southern Hemisphere planted at the club's headquarters. Final question: when are you getting down to see us? Is probably a good way.
Hopefully very soon. So we're talking about it at the moment, so you just never know. Watch this space. I could be coming the whole way to there, and it would be an absolute honor and privilege to get to be there and meet some of the members of the club and share some wonderful whiskies. And you never know, I might bring something special with me too.
Fantastic. So just the final piece for me, we've got winners. Tom Savage has won a pair of crystal whiskey glasses in New Zealand, and Gary Sambridge, the next month's whiskey is on us for the questions this evening. And for the Aussie members, we actually got some events coming up in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane next week, and Newcastle in April. And for our Kiwi pals in New Zealand, we've got some events in the works, so watch for those coming up soon. We're going to get some of the whiskey clubbers round to show you through some of the latest releases. But on that note, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everyone tuning in, thank you for giving us your time and joining us. We are absolutely, just so thrilled that you've got some of this Bushmills and you've enjoyed it along with us. And we cannot wait to see you on the next one of these. So thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And I suppose Alex and I will get back to our day jobs because the day is just starting here. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.